Hello, everyone. So today we will focus on improvement and making improvements in the process itself. So let's start. Today we will discuss two things. First, we will speak about design testing. This is one of the tools that I have in my portfolio that I'm using to implement the new innovations into the process to change something, especially when something is wrong in the process itself, in the product or in the program. Then we will have a few case studies and at the very end, as always, question and answer. So let's start with design thinking. So what is design thinking? Creating a change itself is not about thinking itself only. Let's speak about the popular myth about introducing the innovation. In this myth, we are focused on some special person, some person with skills, person with gift that is able to introduce the change or implement the innovation to the process itself by his own. But it's not true. It's like Moses' myth. In the myth, we have a particular person who is raising his other hand to God, and then Red Sea is splitting, the iPod is being raised, the SpaceX is launching the rockets into the space. But it's not how the majority of us are. It's not that all of us has this particular gift. And this is a myth. So if we want to implement the change itself, we just need to focus on ourselves, on our current skills, on our team, on our management, and just to introduce the testing, just to introduce the innovation to the process itself. But a few words about me. I'm test manager, environment manager, release manager, and glue person, and ex-salesman. So I started working with design thinking as a tool when I was working as a sale for over 8 years. And then we were preparing the concept to sell as much possible of the goods to our customers as possible. That's why we were having these brainstorm sessions just to complement the whole sale and just to make sure that we are able to sell as much of the stuff to our customers as possible. And then I changed my career path and I started working as a QA. And for a couple of years, I left this tool. I abandoned it till I started working as a QA lead and then as a test manager. So when I joined my current company, I started working as a test manager. And after a year that I spent there, after removing the 50% of the regression and after improving the quality of every single release, my managers decided to give me the additional responsible. So I started to be responsible for environment itself. And this is because our environment was not working. This will be the case that we will discuss at the end of the presentation. When environments were stable, my managers decided that it's okay, everything is working, the innovations that I'm introducing to the process are good. So they decided to ask me to make the release process a little leaner and a little more adjust to the current situation on the market. But before we start, let's speak about a few prerequisites, a few constraints to the process itself. And the first constraint is related to management. So we must be aware that we have the managers that are looking for help, that are informed about the problems in their process, in their tools, in the product they are working on. So first of all, we want to have the managers that are fully aware about the situation, that are not afraid to introduce the changes in their process, that are able to help their team members to introduce the change itself, and that they are able to give the blessing to the team to introduce the changes. Second of all, they must look for help. So they must be aware that the problem exists and that they want to change something. Next is it requires them, we require them to be open-minded, because we will introduce lots of ideas and some of them will fail for sure. It's not that every single idea that we'll bring to the process will give us all the benefits. Sometimes it will be the dead end, and we will need to turn back, take a few steps back, and introduce the steps once again, when maybe with the different concept, maybe with the different creation. Second thing is the team itself. So we have management that is supportive, we have the management that is looking for help, and then we need the team. We need the team members that are proactive, that are looking for a change, that are not sitting in the swamp without doing nothing, and they are just taking the bullets one by one, but we are looking for someone who is looking for a change, someone who is looking to improve the process itself and create the better working environment. Those people should be with can-do attitude. My father-in-law was the last person in the family who was using the cable phone. And basically, he's the person who, whenever any change is coming, he's just complaining a lot, all the time. So we are not looking for such a people. We are not looking for people for whom the glass is half empty. We are looking for people who are looking for possibilities, who want to change something, who want to implement the change itself. Those people should be open-minded for innovation and hopefully have the agile mindset, accept the change, create the change, and additionally, they are not afraid to fail. Because we will fail a lot, and management should accept us failing, and we should be aware that we will fail a lot during innovation during creating the innovation in the process. And this is because we'll create the whole set of possibilities, whole set of factors that would help us to implement the solution and to change sometimes very single item in the process itself that we have. And some of those ideas will fail for sure, and I will show you how. So one of the most important things is that the whole project, the release managers, the whole project, the team members, the managers are aware about the problem. When I was joining the company, I had an interview with the HR person and with the sourcer. And we had conversations about how the great company is, how which benefits we will gain. And additionally, there was descriptions of the project. And there was rainbows and unicorns and everything was perfect. And I had this conversation and this was like something, okay, with all due respect, but ma'am, you are paying way too much for such a perfect project. So can you please schedule the meeting with senior manager? And I had a meeting scheduled with senior manager, with Peter, and suddenly everything occurred that the project is not so perfect. We have lots of issues on production. Basically, we are top 10 most buggy application in the company, and we have 1,500 applications in portfolio. So being in top 10 is a great achievement. Second, there is a lack of communications inside the development teams. The developers and testing team members are not speaking to each other. They are not speaking to BAs. They are not speaking with the customers. So we had lots of issues, lots of the problems, and especially with the environments. Basically, every month, every single non-production environment was not working for 2 weeks. So basically, we had downtime equal to 50%, and it was disaster. And the last information from the senior manager was that he's leaving the company, he's leaving the project. But he's very welcome to introduce me to the board itself and to onboard me to the project. And after a couple of days of thinking, I decided, yeah, this will be challenging. This is something that I want to try. This is something that I was looking for, the huge challenge in my life, in my career path, on my career path. And this is something that I would like to take care of. So we have the team members, we know about the problem. We know the fact that the problem exists, and we are prepared to introduce the change. There's one more thing: the environment that we are working on. So basically, design thinking works okay with every development, software development methodology, but it's the best with agile development. With agile methodology, and this is because we have the correct mindset in agile methodology. We have the people who are working in small iterations. We have people who are willing to accept the change, who have good communications with other team members, with the business itself, and most of all, we have the people that are working every day to improve their way of working. So after every sprint, they have retrospective, and they are finding the weak points from the last sprint that they can help to improve, that they can help to solve. So they are looking for opportunities to create the innovation itself in the process. And they are able to introduce this process. That's why we are looking for this kind of teams. So basically, the organizations that already adopted the agile, or the organizations that are willing to improve their agileness, they are good candidates to introduce the design thinking as a process in their portfolio. So what is design thinking? This is a cognitive process during which people are working to introduce the innovation to the process, to the buildings, to new product, to new process. Just they are trying to implement the innovation, and it was developed by the scientists in the lab in the natural areas. The process that I would like today to show you is related to 4 questions, and it's a very simple process, but gives us the lots of benefits. First of all, we want to ask the 4 questions, and the first one of them is what is. So basically, what we want to do is to prepare the baseline for our investigation. So we want to describe the situation as is. We want to be sure that we can fully understand the process that we want to change. Either it's the process, the product, the portfolio of items that we want to change. But basically, we are creating the good description of current situation. And it gives us the benefits as during those investigations, during preparation of the materials, during looking for a help and to fully describe the process itself, sometimes it occurs that basically something that we wanted to change at the very beginning is not that we will change at the very end. So basically the outcome of this process is to fully understand what is the problem, what is the root cause of the issue, and what can be exactly changed. Often managers had this urge to start working with the brainstorm sessions. So, okay, we identify the issue. We know that there is some issue. We want to change it as soon as possible. But no, it's not the correct way, because we need to fully understand what is the problem and what we want to fix before we will start doing that. So first of all, we are creating the baseline for the whole process. We are preparing everything, and we are investigating the process. We are speaking with users. We are creating the personas that can describe the standard user of these operations. And we can have a portfolio of them and make sure that requirements from every group will be fulfilled during the process itself, during the implementation of the change. And when we have fully described the environment that we are working on, that we want to work on, then we have the second questions to fulfill. What if? And basically, the question is, what if everything was possible? How we would model the process, the product itself, if everything could be done, if we had not a single constraint. And this is basically one of the most powerful questions that we can ask. Very often, the managers are starting with constraints. So, when we start with the constraints, at the end, we can end up with the process that is very similar to the one that we have at the very beginning. And this is not that we want. This is not what we want to achieve. We want to have something amazing. We want to introduce the improvement that is way better than the current process that we have. So basically, we are creating the ideas during the what-if phase, and those ideas will be like blocks, like Lego blocks from which children are creating the constructions, and this will be similar situation. We will have the brainstorm sessions during which we will generate as much ideas as possible, just to fulfill the requirement and just to prepare those blocks that can be combined into some kind of creations that will help us, that will improve the process or product that we are working on. The third part is what wows. So basically, if we had the first two questions created properly, and we fully describe the process, fully describe the product that we want to improve, and during the what-if phase, we generated the idea what we want to achieve. Then we are hitting the what wows. And basically, at this moment, we are looking for something that will change our product itself, that will change our process. Something that gives us this wow effect, that will help our stakeholders, customers, to accept the change. So we are looking for solutions, and we are looking for something that will help us to create the product itself, the prototype that we will show to our customers, to our stakeholders for the next phase. And this is what works phase. So during the last phase, we are preparing the low fidelity prototype that we are able to show to our customers, to our stakeholders, just to get the feedback from them about how the process looks like and if we want to continue the change itself. And this is important because we will get the feedback about the solutions that we are proposing, and basically we need to have additional resources to implement this change. We need either time, or we need the money, the funding to implement the process itself. So basically we are asking those four questions: what is, what if, what wows, and what works, to make sure that we will generate the ideas. And now let's move to the examples. First is a non-IT example. So we have the situation that basically we want to move the stuff around from one place to another. So we have a bunch of our clothes, bunch of our stuff that we want to move, and keeping it in hand and moving it from one place to another is pointless. It's time consuming, it's hard to implement, and basically if we have more things, it causes the process to be long and insufficient. That's why people created the luggage. And they created the luggage over 5,000 years ago. So they created the bag that we can pull all our stuff inside. We can just zip it and move it to other place. And that's great because it helps us a lot. And additionally, we have wheels. So also invented over 5,000 years ago. And for 5,000 years, people were not combining both factors. Till 1975, nobody thought about just adding those simple wheels to the luggage just to move it easily. And right now, if we are going to airport, everybody is using the luggage on the wheels just to move the stuff from one place to another. I came here with my 2.5-year-old daughter, and she was able to carry the whole baggage from the family only by herself. And this is because the innovation was added. Simple wheels added to luggage just to make sure that people are able to carry their stuff easily. So at the very beginning, the idea was just to move the stuff around from one place to another. But during the investigation, speaking with customers, speaking with people who are using the luggage, the company decided that, okay, we have better solution. Let's add these 4 simple wheels to the luggage itself, and we will have a luggage on the wheels. Something so simple that basically right now, it seems that every single one of us could prepare such an innovation and add it to the process. And this is similar situation that we can have during our daily work. If we investigate it, if we will create the personas, if we will speak with the customers, if we will speak with the humans that will be using our solution, our product, then we are able to implement the innovation that is changing the rules of game and that is helping a lot our way of working. But let's speak about the IT example. So when I managed to help with the regression testing in the process, my manager asks me to take care of the environment. And this was a huge thing for me. And this is because we had lots of issues related to environments. And if the environments are broken, then it impacts a lot of our testing activities. So we have lots of conversations with team members, with developers, with BAs, with our business about how process is working and what bothers us. Because at the very beginning, we defined the process, we defined the problem as we want the environments to be fixed. So we start speaking with them because we wanted to start with what is phase. So basically describe what is the current situation. And we noticed that first of all, our biggest problem is that people get used to the situation. So if the environment is not working for 2 weeks, it's okay for them because it's standard and it's obvious that environments will be down for 2 weeks every month. So it's perfectly fine. And people get used to this situation so much that for them, if the environment was not working 1 week, it's okay, no problem at all. We will have 1 more week and then somebody will fix it. We will have it up for 2 weeks. No problem at all. Then we noticed that basically the environment is pretty complex. So we have 25 servers for one environment. We have 4 non-production environments. And this is also why the people get used to the situations that the environment is not working. And this is because we have 4 environments. So basically there is a chance that one of them is working. So they will be able to fix they will be able to test the new feature or retest the defect that was raised. We had 14 people that were supporting the environments. 14 people that were, their only task was to take care of the environment itself and just to fix them, let's say, as soon as possible. And basically, we were raising 14 defects per day. And those 14 people, usually, their only action was, okay, so this component is not working, let's restart it. So they were starting it, environment was up for a couple of hours, and some person that raised the defect was able to retest the functionality that he or she was retesting, and was closing everything, and for them it was perfectly fine. And basically, the last thing is that we had the lack of resources for fixing. And this was the root cause why we cannot, why we do not fixing the environments, why we are restarting the components. So it was like a broken record. So from all over again, we had the situations that, okay, one of the components is down, then it means that we need to raise the defect. Somebody was looking at it, was not able to permanently fix the issue, so was just restarting the component. And we were wondering what we can do with that. So we moved to what if phase. What if everything was possible? So at the very beginning, we thought that the outcome will be, okay, so the environments will be up and running, the environments will be healthy. But this was not the major outcome from this phase. So we noticed that basically, it's not that we want the environment fixed. We want the environments to be stable, but this was just one of the steps. We want to have the more time for functional delivery, for delivery verifications, to be sure that everything is working. We want to have smaller number of production issues. We want to rest retesting of environment issues. If we are raising 14 defects per day, it means that retesting them and making sure that everything is working takes us a lot of time. And because every single time the development team is being engaged, they have smaller time to development. So they are just doing the basic verification, and either way, we end up with the situations that basically we are restarting the component that was not working. So this was one of the outcomes. Then we wanted to focus on our well-being. So we wanted to have a better cooperation with our business, with our developers, with BAs, to make sure that everything is working, that we are communicating well, that we are not sending the tickets all over again about the same case. We wanted to have the stability in the process. We wanted to make sure that everything is up and running without any problems, and that basically any time we are able to test the new feature, to retest the defects, to make sure that we can demo our changes to the customers. And basically, at the very end, that we want to have the working environment. So we just gathered all those informations and start to think about what wows in our process. So what actions we can execute to make sure that items from the what if stage can be addressed. So we started to gather the ideas, to have a more support, to outsource our environment support to some other team, to prepare the daily code promotions, to create the daily checks, to split the teams for smaller parts, and make sure that those smaller teams, smaller communities, are able to have the component, take the component ownership. But I will describe it a little more in a moment. We wanted to create the community of practice, to speak with different team members that are doing exactly the same job. So testing community of practice, development community of practice, just to share the good practices among the team. Because the team itself had over 150 development team members. So it was a huge team, and there was opportunity for us to share the information among each other. We considered to lean the release process. We wanted to, for a moment, to make our environments, our non-production environments, similar to production. So to have the same number of memory, the same processors. So make sure that the environments are very similar to each other. And this is because the issues that we are observing on our non-production environments didn't reproduce on production. So we thought that we will have a better hardware, we will be able to to get rid of a majority of the issues. Then we created the initiative that we called K2LO. This is a keep the lights on. So whenever we notice that some functionality, some feature, some initiative was not implemented fully, and there was some corner cutting, we created the item in Jira to address this corner cutting and to make sure that at some point of the time we'll be able to fix it as well. Then we created the Rota. So Rota was the one developer in every region that was taking care of the environments and the issues itself. So, and they had the priority. So at the very beginning, they were focused on production. So the production was the first priority. And in case we didn't have production issues, then they were taking care of pre-prod, UAT environment, QA environment, and development environment. And the last item that I will speak about in a moment. So basically, we start working on what works in our case. And basically, we identify and we were considering all of those actions. So first of all, the three first is just, we just decided not to implement them. And let me explain you why. So more support means that we need more people. And most likely it means that we will have more people, that we will just restarting the single components, and we will help us with nothing. So for us, it was the dead end. Outsource of environment management was also a poor idea from our point of view. And this is because of one thing, because we wanted to make sure that the environments are working. So we wanted our own people to take care of the environments. If we outsource it, it means that we will need to create the ticket, we need to contact with those people, we need to make sure that the ticket is severe enough for them to pick it right away. So basically, we decided that this is also the dead end for us. Hardware, like in production, also was, we decided not to implement this solution. And this is because if we have if we would increase the hardware of non-production environments, most likely we would remove those issues. So we wouldn't observe them. But because the environments had worse quality than the production, it means that basically we could observe the issues. And we could expect that at some point those issues can be moved to productions, can split to production, because if the productions was weaker, then most likely the issues that we observe in non-production environments also would be observed right there. So it was pointless for us, also the dead end. Then we decided to consider the daily code promotion. So instead of dropping every single change for the developers, just to have the one particular time during the day that we are dropping the code to environment, and just to make sure the environment is working, and then everybody can test whatever was delivered during this change. And this gave us a little benefit because it just gave us the culture to make sure that the environment is stable. But we didn't want to create the process that basically every day or every second day we are dropping the new code on the productions. We have 150 developers. It's pointless for us to just put the restriction on them regarding the code promotion. It's not the industry standard that we want to follow. So we want to have, we were looking for other opportunities. So then we created the Rota. So the developer in every single region that was taking care of the environment for the one sprint. And this gives us pretty good outcome, at least at the very beginning. So basically, those developers were removed from delivery of the new functionalities, new features, but could focus only on fixing the defects. And at the very beginning, they could do the cherry picking and find out lots of defects that could be fixed during the one sprint, and they were did it. And at some point, we narrowed the number of defects being raised on non-production environments to about 6-7 per day. So it gave us the value, but at some point we stopped because the issue that they were spotting were too huge to implement during one single sprint. And this was the biggest problem. So the person was sitting, was doing the investigation during the sprint, trying to fix something, but couldn't complete the work. So was just leaving the information to next developer to take care of this stuff and try to continue the investigation. But this, but because of this approach, we had the situations that the new developer was losing 2, 3, 4 days just to gain all the information from the last person on Rota about the issue itself and how to fix it. So our ability to improve the the environment issue started to be smaller and smaller. Then we have, so at some point we decided that we don't want to have the Rota person anymore, that it gives us no value or does not give us the sufficient value. Then we created the stability checks that basically before every person, the last person in the region that is leaving the office is running the stability checks to make sure that the environment is stable for the next people that will join, that will be in the office in an hour, 2, 3 hours. And this also gives us the small benefit, but it occurs that in the situations that the last person is just starting the stability checks, the sanity checks, it occurs that basically in case this person finds an issue, it usually has no resources or time to fix it. So basically, okay, it gives us the small value that in case everything was working, but gives us no value if it was not working. Because either way, the person from next region had to start over and basically fix the issues or usually restart the components to prepare the environments for the whole team to be working. So we decided to split the teams for smaller parts and for those teams to take component ownership. And this was a great improvement from our point of view. And this is because the teams could just fix the issues in their area, in their component, and then just to maintain it. And if everything is working, then they have no other task to do, and nobody will bother them about the other components. So we had several teams, and we divided our over 40 components to those teams, and those teams were responsible to fix the environments in their area, and they didn't have to take care of the issues that are assigned to other teams. So over 50% of the teams decided that just to fix those issues as soon as possible, and then just to have the stable component on their side. We created the community of practice that were able to share the information among the team members. So we had weekly testing community of practice, development community of practice, BA community of practice, PM community of practice, architecture community of practice. But this gives us this, we created the whole community, and people were able to share the information about the issues that they spotted, the issues, how to reproduce the issues. And this is because we had the Follow the Sun project. So basically, every time a day there was something in the office, there was someone in the office. So we decided just to create those community of practice to share the information among the regions. Because it was hard for people in US to speak with people in APAC. But we managed to create this community of practice with the meetings early morning for APAC EMEA teams, and then EMEA team was sharing the information with US teams, and then with the the APAC once again. And we created this K2LO process just to make sure that everything is working. And the last one, the last item that I didn't mention about. So, and this was truly the wow thing. And do you know what was it? What we decided to do? We decided to remove the QA environment. Just cut it from the process. Because the developers always take care for development environment. So the development environment was working, and UAT environment was working because the business was shouting on them, and the pre-production environment was working, and production environment was working. And yeah, I mentioned that basically this was the hierarchy of the change, but the truth was that after the UAT was development and the QA environment was the last one. So the QA environment was the most problematic from our point of view. So we decided to remove it. By removing 25% of our non-production environments, we reduced the number of defects just like that by 25%. And the developers had a chance, had the additional capacity to fix the issues that we had. So when I was just showing this idea to our senior stakeholders, they was a little skeptic. But I told them, guys, we will remove this environment for 1 month. Just please give us the resources that were supposed to fix those environment issues to just permanently fix the issues. So whenever I noticed that someone was restarting the component, I was pretty angry and I was escalating a lot and I was shouting for those people. Just to make sure that if something is not working, then the developers has chance to permanently fix it. And basically, at the moment, we have green environments for over 3 months and everything is working. And this is because we basically remove one of the environments to give sufficient time to developers to work on the issues, to investigate the issues, just to have the additional resources to fix other environments. Very often it's nice to have additional environment, but in our case we decided that removing one of them is a great opportunity. And basically QAs and developers are working on the same environment. So if the developer is breaking the environment by his code, then it means that there are dozens of people who are annoyed and who are just pushing to prepare the fix. So developers start testing very well on their local environment before pushing the code to our non-production environments. And basically, this was the success story for us. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much for information. I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm interested, how does this third phase looks like physically? Is it a meeting? Who are involved in this meeting?
So we are gathering the people, the stakeholders, the clients. The process is human-oriented, so we are doing our best to include all the people that are stakeholders for the process. So our customer, it doesn't matter if these are the customers, users, developers. We are just gathering we want to gather the full set of people just to have the picture from different angles and just to make sure that we won't skip anything. So basically we are, and basically with those same set of peoples, we are identifying what is stage. Then we have this what if that we are thinking about the process, and then we usually have some kind of brainstorm sessions. Basically, whatever will pump the creativity to the team itself. So we are trying to different solutions, but usually the brainstorm session is the best one. We are gathering the smaller amounts of ideas, and we are building the bigger solutions from them.
Okay, thank you. And what methodology you use for this brainstorming? some methods.
So
Delphi.
usually we are just taking the sticky notes, and people are just putting their informations, and we are doing our best to provide at least 3 ideas. And this is done to prevent the situation that one person is just putting his or her idea, and then the people are focused on this idea. If everybody is putting the idea on the sticky note that we will read after, then we will have the fuller scope of the ideas that we can work on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello. First of all, thanks for your speech. I'm interested, how long does the process of improvement take? And if the whole team is involved in this process, then doesn't it influence the performance?
No, because, okay, so it takes a lot of time. I mean, it's weeks, months, more months than weeks. But these are the, okay, so we don't want to burn ourselves with this process. So we are just having the one meeting just to describe the situation. After 2 weeks, we will sitting all together and for 15, 20 minutes just to identify if there is something missing. And so on and so on. So we are just, it takes a longer time, but we have more information to work on, and from my point of view, it's better. Because if we want to implement something very soon, it usually means that why didn't we implement the idea earlier? It means that it was something obvious. So we just want to have the solid background for every phase, just to moving forward. And especially when we are showing during the wow phase to our stakeholders, to business, to people who are providing the funding, then it should be well documented what we want to achieve and how we want to achieve and how much does it cost.
Okay, and the second one is that I understand that, for example, removing the QA environment, it does not take a long time, and it brings, like you can see the effects almost immediately. But in general, when we speak about some more complicated things and more complicated improvements, how would you rate the cost-benefit ratio?
So basically, okay, something that I didn't mention was that we reduced the from 14 team members that are supporting team, we move it to 4 and now to 2 people. And basically, each of them was $6,000 per month. So this was 60,000 immediately, $60,000 per month. Removing the servers was like every server for us was $500 per month. So it was also the huge benefit. And this was the argument to speak with the stakeholders that okay, there might be some issues with delivery for example, 2 weeks before the whole team tunes up to the process itself. But these are the benefits that we will have. And basically, our idea is to create the benefits. So, okay, it might cost us a little bit at the very beginning, but we need to show them the money, as Jerry Maguire said.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Sorry guys, we are out of time. There was one more question here somewhere.
I have a question about removing the QA environment. I like the idea, but I actually don't see the connection with the conclusion you made and the facts you have. Because you removed the environment because there wasn't time to fix. I kind of think you just made the wrong decision there, because the problem was there still. Your problem was that the components were not working, and I don't see correlation between, having the QA environment and fixing the problem there.
So basically, we just removing the environment, we removed 25% of the defects, just like that. So the developers, the support team didn't have to take a look at those defects. And so So they were not looking on the defects on the environment that was removed. So they have a chance to look on the defects on the environments that remained. And this was the benefit. So the time that we had just was, they instead of splitting their effort for... Yes, yes. But yeah, in general, yes. But this is, when you have 25 servers, 40 components, there is a very thin line between environment defects and code issues.